Hello to my fellow KW stakeholders. Of course, it's Aaron Kaufman, Chief Stakeholder Evangelist out of Atlanta, Georgia, bringing you another episode of the My 401 KW interview series, where we dive deep with some of our top profit share earners, thought leaders, stakeholder-minded associates. And of course, this morning is no different. We have literally everybody's favorite KW leader on this call today. Mr. James Shaw, how you doing today, sir?
What's up, Aaron? Good to see you. Thanks for having me.
Hey, great to see you, James. It means so much to me that you're taking the time out of your busy schedule to share your thoughts and wisdom around profit share. And look, before we jump into that, I'm sure a lot of people want to hear your story, James. I know your journey at KW is very symbolic of it's not just about what you get at KW, it's about who you become. But if you could take us back to before you got into real estate, how you ended up getting into the industry, joining KW, and then just share your journey that you've had at KW, and then we'll get into your thoughts around profit share and some of your successes around it.
Yeah, sounds good. I was a TV news producer before I got in the real estate business. And
I know that.
Yeah, and so that's what I did. I produced TV news. That's when I got out of college, and it was great, but I got fired because I was a jerk. And the truth was back then, like I get very passionate. You know this. I get very passionate about things, very excitable, but I didn't always recognize where the line was, right? Where the passion needed to end because a decision had been made. So anyway,
I'm not aware of this. I'm not aware of this at all, James. I have no issue with that problem at all.
Yeah. So I was producing TV news, and after 3.5 years of that, I got fired from it, and I got a call. This is really fascinating. My stepdad's ex-wife called me, and she said, "Would you be interested in getting in the real estate business with me?" She was a top agent in Lafayette, Indiana, not with Keller Williams, owned her own company at the time. And I said, sure. So I went and got my real estate license and started working for her on her team. And we were selling houses. I sold like 2 weeks, sold my first house and kept doing that. But through a series of events, I wasn't going to be able to stay with her, and I needed to move to Northwest Indiana. She was in Lafayette, Indiana. I needed to move to Northwest Indiana, Crown Point, Maryville area. And this agent who I worked for had a lake house next to a KW agent. The person at the time owned the market center up there. She was the OP of that market center. And she said, you got to go join this team. So I went and joined that team. And in fact, we were the number one team in KW in 2006. Wow. But I joined it as a buyer agent in 2005, and then kind of worked my way. But I didn't seek out KW. I didn't understand profit share at all. I just had to write down a sponsor's name, and I wrote down my sponsor's name and all that kind of stuff. But spent 3 years on this really elite performing team inside of KW.
James, did you end up selecting the head of the team as your sponsor?
I did, yeah. The rainmaker of the team, that's who invited me to KW, right? So that was the right person to name, and that's who I named. And actually, it's really funny. I like to look at the downline that I'm in.
Yeah.
And it's just some really cool people. My sponsor's Jana Caudell. Her sponsor is her husband. But then like Chris Cormack is in there, who's a legend inside of KW. She's in MREA. I'm in Judy John's downline. I'm in Joan Mary Charter's downline. So these are all people in MREA that I'm in their downline. So it's pretty cool. I like to look, and whenever I see Judy, I remind her that I'm in her downline. So
one of my favorite people in KW.
Great people. And again, all people inside of MREA. But I didn't understand any of that when I joined. But I spent 3 years on the team. But then when I got divorced, I wasn't going to stay in that area anymore. That's where my ex-wife is from. And that's when I decided to pursue leadership inside of KW. So I spent some time as an assistant team leader, 8.5 years as a team leader. Was a bold coach, and now I run and moderate a Facebook group for a living. We've got Pivot Shift Ahead and my private mastermind called the Inspire Collective, and that's what I do now, Aaron. That's the abridged version.
And so did you go right to, I think it was Cary, right? Where you were a team leader for a period?
I was a team leader in Cary, North Carolina for 3.5 years, and then came back here to Tampa, where I live now in the Tampa Bay area, and was a team leader for Nikki Ubaldini for about 4 years in her office. So 8 years or so as a team leader in 2 different offices.
Amazing. Yeah. And I haven't really talked in depth with you since the pandemic, but as somebody who is a stakeholder evangelist at KW, I just want to tell you how much I appreciate what you did for us during that moment. I know Pivot Shift Ahead is bigger than just KW, but I think what you did in that time period there to launch that group and help people, connect. I don't think we'll ever be able to quantify the financial impact that group has made on our growth, our retention. But for somebody that is a stakeholder evangelist at KW, James, just want to thank you for all you did and all you continue to do
Thank
to
you.
grow that community, because I'm assuming Pivot Shift Ahead is a great, I'll say, attraction tool for KW. I mean, it's not meant to be that, but it's a great display of our abundant culture and our sharing of ideas. Did you want to speak to that for a second?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think I didn't create it for that purpose, right?
Yeah.
In fact, I'm not really actively using it to go grow my profit share. That's not my focus on it. I created it because I needed something to do to keep my mindset right in the pandemic. I mean, as a bold coach, we got yanked off the road, and I had 2 sold out bold races, so I need something to do. What I have discovered, and I mention this to market center leaders often, and unfortunately, not all of them understand, but I try to explain it often. The Pivot Shift Ahead community is an extension of a market center. We're almost like a virtual market center.
Yeah.
And I would think if I had someone that I knew, whether I'm an agent or a leader in a market center, and I had someone I knew who was a great agent but needed support and value to grow their business in a tough market that we're in.
Yeah.
Pivot's a great place to put them because, like you said, it is brand agnostic. It is not it's not KW backed. It's my Facebook group. They own the name Pivot Shift Ahead, but I've got an agreement to be able to use the name. But it's not their group. It's mine. And so KW is not actively in it and leading it. It is truly a brand agnostic place. But a majority of our people are KW people. So the language we speak is KW language. I read from Millionaire Real Estate Agent Today, and we read from Shift, and we talk about Gary, and Jay will come on, and we do different things. And so what happens is this is a really easy way to introduce the concept of Keller Williams to people that aren't with Keller Williams, because they legitimately can get on one of my morning mastermind calls and keep their camera off and never see a word, and never say a word. No one knows they're there, but yet they're getting immersed in our culture.
Exactly.
They can just be active in the group and asking questions, and nobody knows that they're at Remax or wherever they are. Yeah. But here's what happens, Aaron. I get messages often, multiple times a month, from people who say, hey, I just wanted you to know that I joined Keller Williams this week, and I've been on your calls for 2 years, and so-and-so invited me to be on your call, and now I've made a decision to join Keller Williams, and I just want you to know this community was a part of that. And so I just love that. It's a reminder to KW leaders and others who are passionate about profit share. Leverage the tools around you, especially a group like mine. And no one's going to go name me. They're still going to name you. My profit share has not grown significantly because I started a group. My profit share comes from my purposeful action with individual relationships. But so it's a safe place to come put them. And then as a former team leader, of course, if someone did reach out to me and say, hey, I named you, I always ask, well, who introduced you to KW so we can fix it if we need to?
Absolutely.
Grow my own. So you can use it as a tool to help grow your profit share.
No, that's a great point, James. And like a lot of people, when they think about building their profit share, they think about, it's recruiting, right? It's recruiting. But the truth is, it's it's the same conversations I would imagine, James, that you're having with agents about the moment, right now, about getting into relationships, providing value, right? Finding their pain, offer them a solution, right? It's the same mindset that our agents should be taking with their databases right now, that they should be taking with agents that they want to build relationships with and potentially attract to KW. Recruiting is, what we might call it, but at the end of the day, you want to attract them. And I'm a big Kay Evans fan. And, she always said, what's your attractor factor, right? Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes we get so caught up in trying to build our profit share that we forget that this is about building relationships, providing value, and the tools that we have to do it in a way that is authentic and non-salesy at KW. I don't think we have more tools than we have right now, with Pivot Shift Ahead, all the books, the MREA podcast, family reunion, mega camp, training events. I mean, at the end of the day, those are the way. That's how you get people's interest peaked in KW, not trying to sell them on KW. You obviously agree with that.
Oh, 100%. I mean, again, team leader for 8 years, I recruited, I don't know, somewhere between 700 and 800 people into Keller Williams. I sponsored 12 of them, but they were all through relationships in our market center. But the way I recruited and grew Keller Williams was relationship to and add value. Invite to, just like you said, invite to an event. Ask great questions. But it was never. I wasn't a cold caller and just texting and asking who do you know. This is a relationship business. The pivot is an extension of that relationship, and it helps build a relationship with our systems, with KW systems and tools, without you having to do a bunch of work. But yet that person's thankful that you invited them there. And I wish that, honestly, Aaron, I know you agree with this. We've got a lot of leaders that are all in and totally get it, and we have some that aren't, and that's okay. I wish more of our leadership would get involved in what we do in Pivot and use it as a resource, and just tell people they meet with, even as just a final thought. Hey, you know what? One thing real quick, you might want to check out this mastermind community. Yeah. It's not KW, but there's a lot of KW people in it, and it'll give you a sense for what we're about. And then if you like it and want to chat more, reach out to me. Like, that would be my message to every agent who I talk to who has no desire to join, is not interested. I'd at least mention the community to them.
Well, and James, more importantly, and I've been saying this for 20 years. I mean, who cares who knows about Keller Williams if our own people don't know about it, right? Yeah. I mean, I think Pivot shifted ahead. The Pivot Group is probably more of a retention tool than it is an attraction tool. One, you're getting people into production. You're helping them survive the market of the moment. They're experienced Keller Williams, even though it's not it's not a KW group. They're interacting with KW associates. I think that's the key here, James. Because I have the same challenges with my mastermind group that has 45,000 KW associates in it. The truth is, probably only about 2,000 to 3,000 of them are actually active in the group. A lot of people, when I say, "Are you in the group?" they're like, "Oh my God, I'm in the group," but I'm not in the group, right? And I think we need to remember, James, especially in this moment, when there's a lot of new flashy objects and the market is changing, our associates need to really understand that they're a part of something bigger than their own market center, right? That's our advantage. Not only do we have an incentive here to work together and care about each other, we're part of a global real estate company of 180,000 stakeholders that are, have an incentive to help and, help each other. And if you don't seek out that knowledge, and you don't join these communities, you don't attend our training events, one, you're not having, you're not taking advantage of all the things KW has to offer, not to mention the referral business that's flowing through our network. But the other side of it, James, is how can you really talk about the KW value proposition at a high level if you're not buying into that and seeking out those kind of groups and communities? Would you agree with that?
I totally would. Again, 20 years. I've been with Keller Williams 20 years also, and there has never been a time in my career here where an agent is more set up to win than now. Our tools are easier to find, things are easier to use. There's just more stuff available. And when I see an agent leave, look, there's a handful of times that it is KW's fault for whatever reason. A market center didn't present the value that they're supposed to, or a team leader did something really dumb. There's a handful of times. But a majority of the time somebody leaves and blames KW, I'm sorry, between you and me, it's not KW's fault. Yeah. Because what'll happen is you'll go somewhere else and you'll get very excited because you're at this new place, but eventually you'll hit this ceiling of achievement again. And because you choose not to get purposeful about what you're doing, you'll go through the resignation and greener pastures process all over again. What I love about Pivot and a group like yours and many other groups, there's lots of groups out there, but what I love about things like this is an agent goes into a market center and their team leader and their productivity coach and their ALC are teaching this stuff to them over and over again. But the team leader and the productivity coach and the ALC, they kind of become like mom and dad. And mom and dad get stale and boring. You get tired of hearing from mom and dad. So then all of a sudden you go to someone else's market center for a training event, the neighboring market center, because they're hosting something, and you go and the team leader there says the exact same thing. And you're like, oh, that's so good, I'm writing it down. Well, what happens in Pivot is exactly that. We're teaching the same foundational stuff someone's learning in the market center, but because it's not mom and dad teaching it to them, sometimes they're more apt to listen. So it's just come hang out in other spaces, learn from each other, mastermind together, and leaders. Again, if you get your people inside these communities, I'm telling you, it's another layer of retention. It's another layer of keeping the door closed.
And what does Mo say, James? You want to build a church, build a bunch of small churches, right?
Yeah, right.
And so I think that's what I love about what we're doing with communities, what we're doing with our groups, is that, look, we all, we know that it's all about, at least the mindset around KW is gross, gross to net, et cetera, et cetera. But I think, having a more purposeful approach to retention is not going to hurt our net numbers, and leveraging all the communities and all of the stakeholders that are willing to share their ideas and help is what gives us an advantage in an industry that's always been kind of independent. And I think I hear the same thing. Or sometimes I'll do an ALC mastermind after one of my profit share classes, and I'm always like, look, guys, we all know that the team leader or the leadership team of an office, their jobs are on the line, right? Like when they are trying to get people excited about recruiting, sometimes that messaging, like you said, that mom and dad messaging sort of gets lost. But when a top agent in the office gets up and says, look, I'm a stakeholder in this office, I'm vested in the success of everybody that's in this office. I want to be a value, help you grow your business, right? Those are the messaging that I think agents respond to when it comes from a peer, from an ALC member, from an agent they respect. That messaging tends to be received more powerfully, obviously. So talk about, look, so you've had almost every role here. You've been a team leader. You're obviously doing all kinds of stuff with KW as far as education and training. But let's say an agent comes to you and says, James, I want to get purposeful about profit share, right? Like, this is something that I want to get intentional about. What do you take them through from a mindset standpoint to kind of get them prepared, and maybe talk about, some steps or strategies that you think that every agent that maybe wants to get purposeful about profit share should start doing, maybe, in the beginning, just to kind of get that ball rolling?
MREA page 145. It says real estate sales is a contact sport. And actually, it's a close contact sport. And the best players believe it's a frequent and systematic close contact sport. And to succeed at a high level in real estate sales, you must commit, to frequent contact with the database with the intent of building close relationships. Yeah. That's page 145 of MREA. Growing profit share is the exact same thing. I think that we forget that it is a relationship business. And and listen, I get the emails and texts too from competitors. And it's funny, I haven't sold a house in years, but I still get a text that says, oh my gosh, I work with so-and-so and they saw your production and would be so honored if they can chat. And I go, that's total garbage. Like, it's absolute garbage. It's of no value whatsoever. You know nothing about me. But when we build relationship with people, a co-op agent, the agent who was in our pre-licensing class, our friends at the board, whatever, and we just, hey, check in, see how you're doing, and then invite them. I don't think you ever should go to any sort of training without bringing a guest. Yeah. Just every team meeting, you could bring a guest in your market center. Every time the region is hosting something, bring a guest, and just think about who would get value out of this, and call and say, hey, this is coming. I'd love for you to join me as your guest. You pay for them if you want. Absolutely. And just deepen the relationship with them. And then here's what it is. Hang out and relax and chill out. Yeah. When they're ready, this is me. I don't know if you agree with this or not, but when they're ready, they'll start asking you questions about it. And I'll give you an example. When I was a team leader, there was a gentleman named Mick who was at a competing company. And I did not know him, and he was not referred to me. And so when I would be a little bit, okay, I don't have a lot of people to reach out to, then what I'd go do as a team leader is pull the top 100 in the market and just start calling and introducing myself and inviting them to an event. And this guy, Mick, I reached out to, and I invited him to something, and he came to something in the office, but he very much loved his broker and loved what he was doing, and was very happy with his production. And then family reunion rolls around, and I said, Mick, why don't you come with us to family reunion? He goes, that's fine, but James, just, I'm just coming to this. I don't want anybody to think. It's no problem, Mick. It's no problem. And so he comes to New Orleans with us that year for family reunion. And because we had 89 agents and it was 2010, the market stunk, we were cheap. And so Mick and I roomed together. That was how we pulled this off to save money. So, and he was comfortable with that, no worries. And so we're roommates. And again, I'm not pushing him at all. I just invite him to this event and we hang up. And I remember it's lights out in the room and lights go out and I'm laying in my bed and he's laying in his bed. And he's all of a sudden says, so James, it's pitch dark in the room. So James, I'm like, yeah. Can you tell me about how Keller Williams works? And I joke, this is the guy I recruited in bed, right? We're separate beds, but we're in our hotel room and at family reunion. And we're talking. I'm just doing my recruiting appointment in the dark. He's in one side of the room, I'm in the other. But he was ready.
Yeah.
And he invited me into that conversation. And I think sometimes we get so excited that we want to tell everybody everything that's going on in Keller Williams without allowing them to walk into it. So I would just say, invite people to events. That's how you add value. Constantly invite, and let them know that they're always welcome at our stuff. And then when they're ready, Aaron, they're going to tell you.
Now, James, in this moment, right, when agents are just trying to sell houses and figure out how to manage what's just happened with some of the lawsuits, right? The intentionality around being purposeful about profit share is probably at an all-time low, if not one of the lowest points I think that I've been with KW. The enthusiasm around profit share and the intentionality around it is low because of the moment. Profit share is down compared to where it was a couple of years ago company-wide, although I think you and I both agree that KW was born in a shift, right? And we took over this industry after the last shift, and this is an opportunity for those that are going to be intentional. But what I worry about, James, is that a lot of our market centers are not even talking about profit share right now because it's so not a priority in their minds, right? Because they're focusing on helping agents sell houses, or they're not profitable right now. And so, my feelings, James, I know you're, I don't know, we've never talked about this, but, I'm a big believer in the connection between profit share and culture at KW, right? Gary always says our culture at KW starts with profit share, right? Mo Anderson says, if you're not profitable, you're out of culture, right? Yeah. So there's a connection between profit share and culture. And what I worry about, James, is that a lot of our market centers are not talking about profit share because they either, like I said, either they're not profitable or they think it somehow exposes some inefficiency or inadequacy in our models, especially as it compares to maybe some of these other flashy objects. What are your thoughts around that? And what's your messaging for market center owners and leaders that are not leaning into profit share in this moment? Because I believe the conversations are not about profit share, right? In this moment, the conversations are around culture. But how can you really communicate that at a high level if you're not talking about the catalyst for the entire culture? So what are your thoughts to leaders and owners who have a decision to make in this moment? Are they going to, as we move forward, and you and I both know there's some changes that have been happening around profit share, what do you see the future of profit share if you're running a market? We always know that every office is independently owned and operated, right? We can have all the great models, systems, training, culture, but each office is independently owned and operated. But what would you tell a market center leadership team that's not profitable or not very profitable? They're not talking about profit share in this moment. What's your messaging for those people?
Well, I would say create a culture of productivity first in your market center. You want a culture of productivity, and that's how you create something special. So here are two ways to create a culture of productivity. Way number one is to get your people into higher productivity. So what programs and opportunities do you have in your market center to bring people up and closer to their goals? Number two is to bring people into your market center who are in production. Those are the two ways. So we create a culture of productivity by raising the productivity of the people we have, which if we raise it, in other words, if they're reaching their goals, whatever their goals are, whether it's 4 houses a year or 400 houses a year, we help them reach their productivity goals. They'll be happy. They're going to stay. Your retention issue is solved. Company dollar increases, and therefore profit share goes up. Number two, you start adding value to people who are in production and bring those people into your market center. Production goes up, profit share goes up. I'll give you an example. When I was team leader in Cary, North Carolina, 2009, market changes, right? And we had 108 agents or 109 agents. I'm sorry, 110 agents on my first day. January 4th, 2009, we have 110 associates. That was a little bit below the average size market center way back then. Like the 120s, 130s was an average size market center. All right, so 110 people on January 4th. February 28th.
Right? That was right in the middle of that shift, right? Right in the middle of that shift, too.
That's
just
right.
like now.
Yep. So then February 28th, 2009, we had 89 people. We'd gone from 110 to 89 in my first 60 days as a team leader. So not the job of team leaders is to shrink the market center as quickly as possible.
Right.
But here's what happened, Aaron. We basically, the rest of the year, would tread water. I'd have an agent leave, and I'd have an agent come in. And I'd have an agent leave, and I'd have an agent come in. And we finished the year at 89 people. But listen to what happened. That market center went from number 12 in the board to number 3. It went from number 3 in the town of Cary to number 1, and became the third most profitable market center in the Carolinas region back then, which is a huge deal. Carolinas region is an elite region when it comes to profit share and profitability in market centers. And at the time, Asheville was number 1, and like Ballantyne was number 2, and then little old Cary, North Carolina was number 3. And here's how we did that with 89 people. The agent who left might be an agent that honestly didn't really want to sell real estate and the market got too hard. They did 2 deals a year, no worries. And so they were making a decision to step out, and that's fine. The agent I'd bring in, though, was an agent that in 2008, they did 10 million. In 2009, they're doing 6 million. Both of those are great businesses, but that's a 40% decrease in production for an agent back then. So that's a big deal. And so they're lacking systems and models. So they come into our space because we had that. And now look, it's not a 1-for-1. It's a lose an agent that's doing 250,000 or 400,000 and get one that's doing 6 million. What happens to the culture of productivity? It goes up. What happens to profit, a company dollar? It goes up. What happens to profit and profit share? It goes up because of the way we're doing it. So team leaders, create a culture of productivity. Create a space where people are reaching their goals or on pace to reach their goals. And then others in the market will be attracted to that because their office isn't reaching goals. It's fix the productivity first. The productivity will lead to profitability. And then that grows profit share, and you can start driving that message home.
I love that. I love that. And, look, I don't want, I keep pounding this home, James, because, of course, I have my sector's profit share, right? Which is, from a company-wide standpoint is down from a focus. Your sector is up because, obviously getting agents into production is the moment that we're in, right? And helping them provide value and articulate their value to buyers and all that great stuff. But I want to just kind of circle back.
Aaron, the two are connected. I mean, I don't want to interrupt.
Totally agree. Totally agree.
Absolutely tied together. We cannot have profit and profit share without productivity.
100%. 100%. And what I'm trying to get at, James, is that, obviously the culture of production is key, right? Like that. If agents aren't selling houses, they're not going to stay in the business. They're not going to be happy. They're not going to attract people to a company where they're not happy at. So obviously that's the beginning. But there is a secret weapon, right, that we have as a company, right? There's a secret weapon KW has, and that is we're the only privately held, agent-centric, interdependent real estate company where agents and owners are vested in a true common goal.
That's right.
Have a real incentive to work together and care about each other, right? And I want to pound this home, James, because I think we're gonna get a lot of people on this call that are here to listen to you, and I'm going to take that as an opportunity to make sure I get across what I'm passionate about. But the point I'm trying to get at, James, is that our culture starts with profit share, right? There's something different about KW. Not every KW office is created equal. Not every KW office is delivering on our culture and our value at the highest level. But when all things are created equal and we're building a culture of production and our associates understand that they are actually vested financially in the success of their fellow agents in their office, right? To me, that's the conversation that I worry about is not happening right now because we're not profitable. And we think that we can't talk about that. We can't talk about profit share if we're not profitable. But my point, once again, James, is if you want, to create a true culture of production, doesn't that take a village? it doesn't just take leadership, right? It takes your
No, it
top
takes
eight.
everybody. I mean,
Right, it takes everybody, right? You need
what's
top
great
eight.
about
Right. You got to get people in the office. You got to create an energy there, right? And so what I've been trying to do for 15, 20 years here is trying to make sure that our own agents understand that they're a stakeholder in KW, their market center, their fellow agents, whether they ever earn a cent in profit share or not. Because think about it, James, the more profitable an office is, I don't know, my guess is the more money and resources you're going to reinvest back into the agents to better the training, the education, the support, right? The office space is going to be. I'm guessing the better the energy and the culture of sharing is going to be, the more Keller Williams for sale signs are popping up in your market, right? So I just want to make sure people fully understand that when we talk about profit share, we're not talking about the money, James. Profit share is an effect of a bigger why, right? It's an effect of creating a market center that nobody wants or needs to leave, right? Profit share is an effect of that, but it's hard to build a market center that nobody wants or needs to leave if agents are not selling houses and they're not feeling a sense of culture and community. Would you agree?
100%. First of all, we shouldn't walk around and say we aren't profitable. That's baloney. There's $100 million profit shared last year, and so I think if an agent or a team leader if their market center isn't profitable, which is certainly possible in a market like this, the region is KWRI. Profit share is still real, and we can still talk about that. So I think that's number one.
I agree.
But what's great about profit share, and I saw it as a team leader, was profit share forces you to put the owner and the agent on the same side of the table.
Yeah, exactly.
And you have to. You can't have a relationship in which you share profit without you sitting on the same side of the table.
Right.
And I think we forget that your OP chose to open a Keller Williams office knowing that roughly half of the profit that they would make, they share back.
Yep.
And I think they could have opened any real estate firm. They could have opened a Coldwell Banker and kept it all. They could have opened their own boutique and kept it all. But they made the decision to open a company where it says you're required to share roughly half of it back. And so I would give gratitude to your OP and say thank you for doing that, number one. And then that means if you have an OP, right, who's chosen to do this, that means they want to sit on the same side of the table with you. They want your opinion. They want your feedback. If we did not have profit share as an opportunity, then you know how policy changes would happen?
Yeah.
You get an email on a Tuesday at 11 telling you effective on Friday, this is our policy.
Right.
And you don't really get that. We've got a system through an associate leadership council that gives you a voice. You've got the IALC to go through if there's any change that we're going to make for something. All the profit share changes are driven through that. We get to sit on the same side of the table with the person who owns the office. That doesn't happen anywhere else. And without profit share, you wouldn't have that as an option.
That's a great point. And look, you're right. We're going to give back $100 million this year in profit share in a shifting market, right? For a privately held real estate company. That's a big deal. Okay.
If you rewind 10 years, profit share was double last year what it was 10 years prior. Would you take that in your business?
Of course.
Would you be happy if your business doubled in 10 years? I think you probably would. And is it down from the height of the market where we were doing 6.4 million transactions, 12 million sides? Of course it is. The transactions, we've lost 4 million sides in the last couple of years. So it's going to be down a little bit, but it's not zero. And so this stuff about profit share doesn't work, or it's not, I'm not getting any, it's not zero across the board. It might be zero for you, but it's not zero for everybody.
Well, and that's the challenge, James. That's why, I think one of the big, sort of aha moments that I've gone through over the past, whatever decade is that, I was an idealist, right? I came out of the Southeast region. I came out of Atlanta, top market at KW when it comes to profit share. I had a high level experience as an agent, as a stakeholder at KW. That's what inspired me to go around and get purposeful about profit share. And so when I talk about profit share being down, I think the key is, James, is not everybody's having the same experience at KW, right? Mm-hmm. Not every office is created equal. And I would guess that the top 20% of our offices are generating 60 to 70% of the total profit share.
Easy.
Okay.
Yes.
So that means that 70% of our market centers are generating only 20 to 30% of the profit share, right? So we got people from all around this company that are listening today. Look, when you're in and I think it's interesting, James, we have all these great tools and systems. I mean, I hear people say K-score doesn't work, right? But then you have another market center that's doing it at a high level, or profit share. We're not profit share. People aren't excited about it, but in other market centers, it's a huge rock of retention and growth and culture building. So, that's where I because what I find challenging, James, is when, I travel around this company just like you, teaching, which I love to do. And when, I'm teaching my class and how I see Keller Williams and sharing my experiences at this company and all the amazing things that profit share has done for me and for the people in my office, it's always hard for me to hear people not having the same experience. And so what I'm trying to do is challenge them to buy in to something bigger than their own real estate businesses, because when we do that, right, that gives us an advantage in an industry that's always been independent. So I just want people to understand that, look, if you're in a market center that's not profitable, and James, my guess is right now, 25% of our offices have not shared any profits yet this year. And it tends to go, look, we know East Coast tends to be more profitable than the West Coast. So we have a lot of associates that are in these offices. And what I'm trying to get them to understand is it's okay to talk about profit share and paint a vision for what this could look like when you're not profitable. Because imagine, James, if Gary Gentry and some of our founding associates said, look, let's not talk about this profit share thing because we're not profitable. I mean, we were not even profitable for the first 14 years as a company. And so I'm trying, look, I believe the market centers that are going to come back the fastest from this moment are going to be the lowest performing market centers, because there's only one way they can go, and that's up, right? So that's why I'm trying to kind of, pound this message, is that I think people in this moment, James, and look, I haven't even asked you, I mean, what's your lifetime profit share earnings?
I'm over 100,000. And so I'm in the group of the 100,000 people. I don't know the exact number off the top of my head, but the point on that is it's 12 people on my first level. The majority of the people who I recruited were others. And you and I have talked a lot about the importance of team leaders respecting that relationship. I've always got your back there.
Absolutely.
It kills me when I see something goofy that happens in an office.
Sure.
And in fact, when I was a team leader, I always reviewed the binding sponsorship agreement and begged them to not put me down. So, but 12 people over $100,000 in my lifetime. And I was just looking at the number. It's only 3,043 people have earned over $100,000 in their lifetime. I think we would all take that. And I also would suggest that the experience you have in your market center is your experience. In other words, you create it. I know that not all market centers are created equal, that there are great ones, good ones, not so great ones, and horrible ones. I get it. But yet you get to choose how you show up in those, and you can be the person that pushes change through. You can be the one who helps make something new happen. And you can be the one that creates a vision inside your market center. And then what you can do is this: if you're not real happy with something going on in your market center, leverage the other tools we have available, the KWRI events, Facebook groups like yours and mine and others. Leverage those things to create your own environment in that space and be an actor of change inside your office.
Well, and that's really where I'm going, James, right? Which is this idea that I'm a stakeholder, right? That I'm a stakeholder. And if I'm in an office that is a turnaround market center, that I want to be a part of the positive change, because my guess is the agents that kind of carry that banner, right, of change and want more out of their experience at KW, my guess is they're going to be the ones that are the attractors of that office and are trailblazers. I always tell people, when you're trying to refer an agent to a market center, right, it's not just about which market center is the best place for you. Okay. Like don't just send them to a market center because it's more profitable. Although we would agree the profitability of a market center could be an indicator of the value and the culture that they're creating there. But we also know, James, leadership changes, ownership changes, ALC changes, right? And, to be a part of the change in a market center that may not be profitable today, that could be, your future wealth building for decades to come. And so, when people say, well, what market center should I send them to? I say, look, you should send them to both. Let them decide which market center they connected with, because the profitability of a market center is about you. Profit share, real success is about them, right? Helping them find a market center that's close to their office, right? That is a fit for their personality. It's their decision to decide. We don't want to be steering people just to market centers that are profitable. But the other side, James, is that we just, I think in this moment, right, the market share that we get in this moment, right, we should never lose. I think Gary says, or Jay says, market share that you take in a shifting market, you rarely lose, right?
Right.
So for me, this moment is so critical. And I love what you were saying about, losing one agent and adding another agent that's buying in. I think about my profit share tree right now, and, it's basically been hanging out about the same for the last 3 to 4 years, size wise, right? I mean, last month, I think I lost 50 something agents from my downline, but we added 52, it grew by 52. And what I keep thinking about, James, is like kind of what you were saying there, is that as we go through this attrition, as for the people that and the market centers that continue to focus on growth and obviously delivering on our value, the quality of the agents that are in our market centers and in our profit share tree keep going up.
Yes.
Because the people that are leaving, right, we're not plugged in the first place. So I just think that's where that's why this moment is so critical, is that if we keep focusing on growth, we keep delivering on our value, when the market shifts back, I mean, who is going to be primed better than KW to literally take the next giant jump in this industry, right?
100%. Two thoughts. First, I've looked it up. My lifetime profit share, 133,736.
Yeah.
And that's for doing nothing. I just, it's not Aaron Kaufman's profit share, but I'll take $130 some odd $1,000.
Or Linda McKissick's. Yes.
Yeah. All right. So that's number two. Is the opportunity shows up in transition, and we're in transition. This is your best opportunity, because you have agents who might be a little frustrated with what's going on in their business. They're not happy with how their office is handling something. And yet, if you're the one adding value to them, this is your opportunity.
Absolutely.
Those who and the way I'd look at it is, take one lead gen block a week and just use that to check in on some people and invite them to something. That's it. And leverage those events to help create the conversation and build your profit share right now. And my checks are the lowest right now they've been in a long time. It's all good. I'm not worried about April's profit share.
Right.
What I'm thinking about is long-term profit share. What's going to happen down the line? That's it.
Well, and James, that's kind of where I was getting to, which is that, for the people that are purposeful about profit share, like you and me, and look, you've grown your profit share just by being an amazing leader and attracting people through relationships. I've been obviously a little bit more purposeful about it. But for people like us, James, you just said it. I mean, it ain't about our next check.
That's right.
Okay. If it was about my next check, I would have given up a long time ago.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is about, a long-term wealth building legacy that I'm building. And I think the key to these conversations, James, is that we want to protect that legacy, right? I mean, I know you have all kinds of other stuff going on in your life, wealth building, things that you're doing, but you obviously want to protect profit share. You have children as well, right? I believe.
I have a daughter. Yes.
Right, your daughter. Right. So this legacy, a part of the legacy that you're going to leave is going to be profit share, and you want to protect that. And I think that's where I'm trying to get at, James, is that when we're having kind of a moment down, right, people tend to not focus on it or talk about it. And what I'm worried about, James, is where we're going to be in 20 years. 40 years.
Yeah, I think profit share works in the high time because we worked in the low time. Like if you get to work when things are slow and low, then you get to reap the rewards of it later. And so do the work now. If you wait until profit share all of a sudden doubles,
exactly.
If you waited too long, it's too late. You can't get in on that game. Right now is the time to get in on it.
Right. And the agents we get right now, I mean, think about what they will become and who they might attract from their experiences with KW over the next couple of years. I mean, who's better poised for this moment than a training and consulting company that's a technology company that's fueled by culture, right? And a purpose of trying to save agents from an industry that's trying to turn them into low-paid door openers. So So that's why I feel like James, and I always steal this line from my girl Mahogany Rose, who said it best.
She's great. I love her.
She said, I love her. She's amazing. She said,
Yeah.
look, we're on the third generation of Keller Williams, James, right? How many people do you know at KW that have been with KW as long as you and me? Right?
Not very many. We're in the older group now.
Right. And so the people that came before us, they're starting to retire too. And I think we can agree Gary Keller ain't going to be around forever.
Correct.
Okay. Although if anybody's going to figure out a way to put their head on a robot's body, Gary hopefully will be that person.
Yeah.
But my point is this, right? How many of our associates, James, know about who really Gary Keller is, who Mo Anderson is? How many of them know what Mega Relief was, what happened in Des Moines, Iowa with the Family Fund, that understands what's happened with Maui, and Fort Myers, Florida, right? And so when I go around and I teach my class, I teach a 3-hour quote unquote profit share class. I mean, 10 minutes is about profit share. The rest of my class is what I call an unfiltered Keller Williams stakeholder meeting. I want to make sure that the people that are listening to me actually understand who we are and why we're different first.
Right.
Before they start getting intentional about profit share. Because to me, that, people don't buy what you do, they buy while you do it. I'm a huge Simon Sinek person, but that's what I'm worried about, James, is the why getting lost. And so for somebody that's purposeful about it, right, we want to protect that. And if we don't have these conversations about how profit share is connected to our culture and how our culture is our secret weapon, right? I worry about where profit share is going to fall in the ecosystem of KW in the future, when it comes to a rock of retention and growth. I mean, some market centers are looking at profit share like it's a tax, not an investment, and so I just want to make sure, I think we're the best version of our company when we are obviously a training and consulting company that's building its own tech, but that we're powered by culture. That's not just a saying on a wall. Okay. It's because we're inherently different. We got
to tell the story. I mean, that's what you're doing. And it's Lily Mae Tillman, that story. You got to tell the Katrina story of KW raising more money to support its community than NAR raised for all of its community.
Yeah.
That was right after you and I joined, was that time. So it's knowing that what the culture is, and that culture exists partially because your owner and you sit on the same side of the table making decisions. Exactly. And profit share is what forces that. We have to
look, you can have culture without profit share. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but you can't have profit share without culture. That profit share is a culture. Again, I keep saying it. I'm sorry, but you as an agent sit next to your owner, not across from, and that can't happen. The only way that's possible is if you're sharing in the profit. That's the only way.
Well, and James, let's get real. I mean, look at other real estate companies that are more dependent, traditional, brand-centric companies, right? The agent sitting next to you over there is your greatest competition.
Right. Yes.
Right? Because they're fighting over the same brand with you.
That's correct.
And there's no incentive to work together and care about each other, although there are some nice people that at our competition that care about their fellow agents and work together. But I think once again, just to bring this full circle again, when you look at an agent, like when I drive around my town, James, and every time I see a Keller Williams for sale sign, I say in my mind, cha-ching. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Whether they're in my downline or not, right? Like I am vested in the success of that listing agent selling that house, whether they're in my profit share tree or not, right? Because that all creates momentum around KW and this company that I have a huge stake in. And I just want more of our agents to understand that the person sitting next to you in your office and the person at KW that's in that Facebook group that you join.
That's right.
They're not just nice because they're nice, although that can be the case for some people. The fact is we tend to work together and care about each other more because we're stakeholders in the same company. And I think you can agree that when we talk about being a stakeholder, James, it ain't just about profit share anymore, right? I mean, we're the only company fighting for the future of your profession, right? And so if you don't help us evolve our tech, if you're not teaching classes and sharing your ideas and buying into culture, right? Like the future of your industry is hanging in the balance right now. And when you attract someone to KW, James, you're not just building your profit share, you're adding another stakeholder to a company that's fighting for the future of your profession. Do you agree with that statement?
I do, 100%.
Right.
Absolutely agree.
And the question is, how many of our agents actually understand that, what I just said? How many
Well, I guess the question is, do you as an agent, like if you're watching, you understand it and take advantage of it? And team leaders who might be watching and OPs, help more of your people understand it. Not everybody will, but get enough that will, that creates great opportunity inside your market center through profit sharing. You'll be just fine.
It's amazing.
Yep.
Now, James, I know you're a busy guy, so let's take this to the end here.
Okay.
What are some parting shots for you, to the people here about just mindset? I know you've talked about a lot of this stuff, but give me just a sort of a summarization of if you were, joining KW today with everything that you knew, what would be the process, the mindset around, getting intentional about profit share? You've already kind of taken us through that, but I'd love for you to just sort of summarize that. So we can finish with a bang here. All right?
No worries. I would remind you that it's a relationship business first. It's the same as your database, and that the way you grow your profit share is by adding value to the agents in your community that you care about, that you know, that you love, that you want to support. And you don't do it by being, you really should join Keller Williams. That's annoying. What you do is you invite them to stuff that's going on. You share things with them. You send books to them. Just the same, invite them to an event. Same you do with your database, you treat the agent database. And if you set a goal, and here's one thing, when I teach ALC clinic, I talk about this a lot because I'll meet ALC members who say, hey, this year I want to add X number of people to my downline. And I go, I would suggest a different goal, because I don't think we have control over how many people join our downline. I think we do have control over how many people we invite to an event or how many people we reach out to. I would make a goal around referrals to the team leader or agents invited to an event, and every month have a goal. All right, I'm going to refer 4 people to the team leader and invite 5 people to an event. I don't care what it is, I'm making it up. But if you set your goal around that, and then every month you hit that goal, then your downline will grow. Your profit share will grow by default. But set your goal around activities that you can control, add value to those people, and you'll be fine.
I love that, James. I always tell people when I coach them, I say, look, tether yourself to the process, right?
Yes.
Not the results.
That's
Meaning, like I said before, there have been times when my profit share checks are less than what I wanted. There's been times that I didn't get a sponsorship. There's been times when I've, was excited about an agent that joined KW. They left KW and went to a competitor or dropped out of the business, right? But at the end of the day, what I think is sustainable, James, and this is kind of what you're getting at, which is the same thing with real estate, right? If you're looking for the next transaction, you're probably not going to be in the business in another year or two. But if you're in the business of building relationships and growing the number of people that you get into relationships with, then obviously your real estate business will be a reflection of that. Yes. So, I try to get fulfillment, and I'm like you, James. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm a teacher, whether it's recruiting or teaching my class, I'm a teacher. And when I talk to agents that I attract to KW, and predominantly most of the people I've attracted to KW are brand new. But my mindset, James, has always been, I want to have a conversation with these people that I wish somebody had had with me.
That's right.
And whether they end up joining Keller Williams or not is absolutely irrelevant. I'm going to get fulfillment out of helping that person make the best decision for themselves, right? Yeah. And the great thing about that mindset, James, is that it's sustainable, okay? It's fulfilling, and you don't get burned out by just trying to help people, right? And if you have those kind of mindsets, whether it be in profit share or with real estate, the money, is going to come from that. So, James, like I said, man, I mean, the value that you provide KW, the value that, you're indirectly or directly, your impact on profit share. I think there's a piece of James Shaw in everybody's profit share check, just like there's a piece of Brent Mitchell in everybody's profit share check. The fact is, this is what makes our company different. And I'm going to just say this because I know James would never say this, but when we talk about attracting people to KW, the analogy that I've been using these days, James, is that it's like dating, okay? If you want to date somebody that's in a relationship, you don't try to break them up. Okay. You become their friend, you become someone they respect, and then you wait for their boyfriend or girlfriend to screw it up. All right. And, listen, I'm not going to say their real estate company is going to screw it up, but if you get into relationships with people and you expose them to the abundant training and culture of KW, compared to maybe what their traditional company is going to be doing and thinking in this moment, I think it'll be very, be easier to help them want to find out more about KW. And then the other side of it, James, is people's whys change, right? I mean, my why has changed quite a bit since the pandemic. So somebody you talked to 4 or 5 years ago about their business or KW, they're having a much different experience today. And if you were in a relationship with that person and you were following up with them and their why has changed, my guess is you'd be the person that would be there to help them find a better path. So, James, thanks again, man, for everything.
You got it. Thanks for having me. Thanks for all you're doing too.
Yeah, man. And I'll look forward to seeing you soon. All right.
You got it. Bye-bye.
All right, James. Take care, buddy.